Hello, my beautiful people. Now, I know it's been a minute since I have been on social media. I would like to say about 8 months or so, could be longer. I took a break from social media with regards to posting anything spiritual for multiple reasons. And today I wanted to come on here and share those reasons with you. So, in order to give you a full understanding of why I've been missing for the last 8 months or 9 months, I got to take you back further. Now, in 2023, those of you who've been following me for a while would know that I went to Nigeria to be initiated into the Ifa tradition as an Ifa, which is a priestess of Ifa, a priestess of Oshun, and a priestess of Egbe. Now, returning back home from that initiation, well, let me just say, while I was doing this, I was pregnant. I was pregnant while I was in Nigeria, receiving all of these titles and these rituals and these ceremonies to walk into the person or the destiny that I am supposed to walk into. Coming back home with all of these new titles and still being pregnant and trying to navigate the newness, the new part of myself, this initiation, I was still working as a manager in hospitality, managing people, managing businesses. And it had become such a challenging part of my life because I was trying to walk into this new purpose, this new destiny as who I am supposed to be, who I was told I was supposed to be, who I felt like I was supposed to be. But then I was still trying to navigate these old waters, which were quite stressful, and it wasn't in alignment of who I was. I tried to make it. I tried to be as in alignment as I possibly can, but eventually it started to get really tough. And during that process, around 18 weeks, I lost my baby. Now, as this shift happened, my whole world crumbled. Like I felt like everything got snatched from beneath me. I was in this job, even though I wasn't happy in the job. To me, I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to do. I was a manager, I was making good money, I was helping people, but I wasn't happy. It was a lot that was going on in the job that was quite stressful. But for the world, for everybody who, in this world, money is everything. Money, you gotta make money, you gotta da da da. I was doing the damn thing. I was making good money. I just moved into this nice luxury apartment. I was in a relationship. Even though everything beneath the surface was not right, I for the exterior has seemed like I had my whole life together. And when everything started to hit me, I no longer had the job. I had to leave the job because I was stressed. Being in the job, I ended up losing my baby. I ended up leaving my relationship, and it felt like my whole world got pulled from beneath me. Like everything that I knew, even though it wasn't in alignment, or even though I felt a sense of turmoil, it was still comfort, and it was still something that I knew. Everything that I knew was no longer there. The life that I wanted to build was no longer there. And mind you, a year prior to that, me and the same partner we had another a miscarriage prior to that. So my whole life, as soon as I got to this 18 weeks, I was so happy that I made it thus far. And I felt like, you know what? Finally, even though, again, beneath the surface, everything was not going right, I felt like I finally had my life together externally. No, that loss didn't only break my heart, but I felt like it broke me. I felt like I no longer knew who I was. I no longer understood what was going on. And I think what hurt the most was while I was in Nigeria, I had no sort of warning that this was coming. And, those who know the Ifa tradition, we do readings that tells you the energy that surrounds you and possibly what is to come. Energy change, it does. But this initiation was an initiation for my destiny. So I had no idea that all of this was going to come. They said, "Oh, you would suffer some loss and, blah blah blah." But it never told me how deep the loss was going to be and how life altering and shattering this life this change was going to be. And when it happened, I felt my entire life start to unravel, and I felt like I spiraled on out of control. Like nothing felt like it made sense anymore. And this was going on for quite a while. I tried to pull myself together as I was told by my spiritual leaders, you know what, you have a job to do. You are here to help guide and heal people. So I pulled myself together and I started my business as a priestess, and I started doing my readings. Now, mind you, prior to this, I was doing readings with the organization I was with, as a part of the group. But I never really did it on my own because I didn't have the confidence, or I didn't even think that this was my path. I just knew it was a talent of mine. And I used to do it to help my friends and help my family and, help the people in the organization. But it was never something that I would say, oh, well, this is what I'm going to do. But now I coming back from Nigeria, I'm being told this is your path, and I'm seeing it unfold in front of me where people start coming to me that I didn't know. I mean, I just started working with people and helping them, and I did my therapy. I did what I needed to do to help me get through this, but my life it still felt like I was stepping, but I didn't have anything solid underneath my feet. And I start to slowly build myself back up. Now, last year, around late last year, November, December or so, the unraveling began again. And I start to feel myself grabbing for things outside of myself to supplement the emptiness or the discomfort or the unknown that was going on within. And that was a challenge. That was a big challenge. So instead of coming on here week by week and doing weekly readings and all of that type of stuff, I decided, you know what? I am going to take some time off and I am going to focus inward. I'm going to try to navigate this energy that is causing me to reach for distractions. Because one thing I learned is when you have spaces of discomfort in your life and you have changes and shifts, most of the time we tend to look for things that are familiar or that would give us those endorphins to cover over the feelings that we have. And that's what was happening at the end of last year. I took that time to go within myself, and I took that time to start to unravel further what was going on and why I was feeling myself spiraling. No, this was not easy because first it meant I had to be uncomfortable and being vulnerable and being truthful to myself and looking at my reality and trying to accept it. And this, me reaching for things outside of myself, is such a normal pattern for me. This is something that I adapted from childhood to help soothe me and to help cushion me in moments of discomfort And again, those of you who know my story know I've been through a lot as a child. And I intend to share this on this platform as well, because my thing is to use my journey and my experience as a way to teach and help. So, me reaching for the external was always my first defense, my first method of defense. And this is when I had to realize I would always sit down in front of the TV and be in front of TV, watching TV for hours, and or being on my phone. Now we got Instagram and TikTok, and just like going down that rabbit hole of numbness. Some people reach for drugs, some people reach for alcohol, some people reach for sex. My vice, some people reach for food. That's a part of my vice too. But I reach for TV. I reach for distractions, and I had to come off of social media. I had to turn off the TV, and I had to sit in a space of, it was uncomfortable, but it also felt like nothingness, like confusion. But I knew something was there because I knew that I felt depressed. And I had to do, like I said, I had to do that unraveling. And shortly after, I got to a little bit of, I wouldn't say I get to the base, but I was chipping away piece by piece by piece. This is when life became more interesting. This is when I found out I was pregnant. Now, let me tell one. That shook me to my core, because I was still trying to navigate this change that occurred in my life. I was still trying to be accepting of my reality in order to start to make the shift in the direction that was for my greatest good and my highest self. And in the midst of doing that, when I got to a certain ways where I was comfortable, but I still had so much more work to do, I found out I was pregnant. That shook me off my core, and that took me deeper into this spiral where I start to think. And most people who didn't plan for pregnancy, especially me, I was trying to dodge it. And people would say how, but that's a story for another time. I was trying to dodge this bullet. And for some reason, I still got shot. And it's crazy because I was told it was coming, but I was like, okay, I can take extra precaution because I don't want to get it. And I still ended up landing right into it. So when this happened, a lot of emotions was traveling through me, and I went right back into my spiral of reaching for things outside of myself to comfort the dis-ease that I had within me. And to make things worse, I could not for the life of me find a team here where I live that was in alignment with who I was and what I was looking for. Throughout this process, asking myself, why the hell did I put myself in this situation? Why, I had a lot of questions. I had to navigate the waters of the fear of experiencing the same experience I had when I lost my baby in 2023 at 18 weeks. So I had so much fears because it was so traumatic. I almost lost my life delivering him. And I delivered him in my bathroom, in my apartment. And it was gruesome. And I didn't want to experience that again. So I was trying to find a care team where I am to help me through this, to help me not have that experience again. And also You know, most women or most couples, when you're going through this process, especially at the beginning, you're such in a vulnerable state. The slightest movement I get, the slightest discomfort I get, the first thing that I'm thinking is, oh my God, I'm losing this baby. And I had to navigate through that. And then trying to find a care team that cared enough to hear my concerns, to take care of me properly. It was a whole experience. So every day I was sat in this energy of discomfort, fears, doubts, insecurities. It was so stifling, not knowing what the outcome was going to be, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to navigate this. And even though I am an intuitive spiritual person and I have tons of spiritual people around me, I could not hear spirit in the noise that I had going on within me. It was so tough to navigate this. And at first, I didn't even realize it, because first, what I did was I grabbed for my numbing agent. Every time I come home from a doctor's appointment, yes, I would vent to my best friend. I would vent to my partner. We both would be like, this is some crap. And then after, I would go straight to watching TV and just numb myself out. And then eventually it just started to get to me so much that I had this huge breakdown. And then when I had this breakdown, it was my spirit's way of saying, you're not paying attention to what is going on the inside. And then this is where the healing began. I started really looking at my situation, and I started accepting where I was and remembering who the hell I am. And I ain't saying this from an egotistical place, but from a place of, I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God first and foremost. And there's nothing that can touch me or work against me. And I had to start taking away the fear and start replacing it with faith. Understanding that I may not feel the ground beneath me and it may not feel familiar. But when I land, I always land on my feet. And the next thing I started telling myself is, God knows what's best for me. God don't make no mistakes. And when I think back about my last pregnancy, even though the experience was very traumatic, there were some days that I was glad that he wasn't here, because the direction that I was going in would not have been healthy for him, would not have been healthy for us, because I wasn't dealing with self. And I feel like, and I wasn't dealing with my relationship, I wasn't dealing with my job, I was just like coping. And I said, God always knows what's best, and God always navigate and give you the strength, the support, and the team to make sure that you are okay. So instead of every little pain I get or every little discomfort, and mind you, I was in Barbados too, and I had some scary moments. For those who know I was in Barbados and saw me, I was in Barbados for my birthday back in April, pregnant, and I ended up in Sandy Grass. I had so much. The word didn't even come in right now. I don't know if because it's pregnancy brain, but I had a lot of alarming situations. And the baby still was snugging there. She was like, listen, I hear. Period. And I had to let go and let God. You know that saying when they said let go and let God? And then I started my work as a woman, as a human, as a priestess, as a daughter, as a mother, as a teacher, as a healer, as a spiritualist. I had to grab on every title that I have around and within me and start to look at myself and look at where I have been, the experiences that I have had, the lessons that I have learned, and put it into the amazing pregnant woman that I am right now. So now I am back. I am back. I am here. And I want to share these experiences with you beautiful people because I feel like it is time to really get it out there, especially like throughout my time when I was sitting in my discomforts and I was sitting within me. I realized and I learned a lot from not only from myself but from the people around me that I was helping, and the patterns and the things that I was seeing that was falling in place. And it's almost as though God was like, all right, so we now gonna make you into that priestess that you are supposed to be, and that person that helps people to deliver themselves. So when I started to do the work, and don't get me wrong, I am still working on myself. I still, because the work within yourself is never done. We are here to learn, to grow, and to evolve, and it's never done. But these experiences that I've had and these lessons that I've learned shifted me into this new person that I am excited to share with you guys. And I am here to be your priestess and purpose doula, to help you to get back in alignment with who you are, because a lot of us fall so far from who we are and who we are meant to be because of the experiences that we've had, the lessons that we continue to learn, and the surroundings that we find ourselves in. We tend to forget who the hell we are, and we tend to walk in just survival mode, just trying to make it day by day. So I am here to help you through this with spiritual guidance, because even when I was in the dark, deep pit of the soul, I wasn't there by myself. I have my ancestors. I have new spirit guides that show up in dreams, and I'm like, who are you? That taught me more lessons about myself and people and things around me. I was getting up with all of these messages, delivering to people around me, and it was like this awakening. And ain't to say that it happened overnight. It was continuous and it was gradual. And now I'm here to share that. And I can't wait to help you be here and awoken in all your glory. Even if it is that you just need somebody to talk to, I am here. And I can be that listening ear, because I know what it feels like to not have someone hear you, see you, or understand you. So I am Kimberly Grimes, your priestess and purpose doula. And I'm here with Living for Purpose to help you live for purpose.